Hello there, virtual world. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing? My name is Cassandra Austin McDonald, and I am coming to you live for an impromptu live stream. Do me a favor and share this broadcast. You never know who needs to hear this. And after you have shared it, make sure that you let me know if you tuned in live, that you're coming in, and you're letting me know who you are, where you're watching from, and if you are catching the replay of this broadcast, type in hashtag replay, and I invite you to interact with the broadcast as if you were here live so that you just get that kind of full experience. And make sure you say hi, y'all, okay? I always talk about how on the internet we forget that we're dealing with real people. And I like to use this analogy about growing up when we were growing up, back in the day, and we actually played outside, because we didn't have all this tech stuff, and we would play outside and maybe go to a neighbor's house to check and see if the kids were home to play. And if you knock on the door and they're not there, you would let them know, let them know I stopped by, let them know I was here. So let me know that you stopped by so I can say hello, okay? So thank you for those of you who are tuning in live. Let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and share this broadcast because you never know who needs to hear this. So I was inside of my private community, The Empowered Self, this morning, and just sharing a little impromptu live stream about mission-driven women who want it all and how to be emotionally resilient. And then I started thinking about the purpose of your partner. And the work that I do with women, I work with high achieving and heart-centered women to help them get unblocked and unlock their next level so that they are experiencing fulfillment in their life. These are the type of women who want to do work that they love. They want to work in their purpose and in their calling. They have a mission. These are women who want to be with who they love and they want to create a life that they love. These are the women who want it all. These are the women that I've been called to work with. And hey there, Whitney, how are you, love? And so in my work, what I have noticed is that sometimes there is this misconception or misunderstanding, if you will, about the purpose of your partner. And a lot of times I see people want to get into a relationship, a romantic relationship specifically, for the wrong reasons. And typically those reasons are from a wounded place. They are from a place where there is a void and they're wanting to fill that void, or they're wanting to replace somebody that maybe they had been with before, or they're wanting to feel better about themselves, and they feel like having a partner or having someone in their life will help somebody to finally love them. But you can't love someone into loving you. What I have learned on this good old journey called life, in being with the Mister for all of these years, but also leading a mission-driven life, is that there is a purpose in having your partner, especially as women. Okay, I'm specifically speaking to my women, my ladies out there, because we typically, those of us who want it all, get labeled as doing too much. How many of y'all have experienced that? They say you're doing too much, you want too much, and that's not what it is. It's God created us that way, because we were put on this planet for a mission and a calling. And when we have the person in our life who is meant to be in our life, they're there to support us in that mission. And that is the purpose of your partner. It's to support you in that mission. It's for a bigger and a greater reason than to fill an emotional void. It's for a bigger and a greater reason to feel better about yourself. It's for a bigger and a better reason than to just have somebody around to say that you're not alone. Having someone in your life who supports your dreams, who supports your vision, who supports your mission is a game changer. That's why there's scripture that says two are better than one, because you have now compounded different things. You've compounded the intellect, you've compounded on the support, you're compounded on what both of you know, you're compounded on both of your gifts and talents, you're compounded on what both of you have to offer and can bring to the table. What's interesting about the dynamics between the Mister and I is that he's an engineer, and so his brain functions differently than mine. And I'm a coach and I do a lot of emotional resiliency work, a lot of emotional intelligence work. I work with women on their inner selves, their mindset and the inner game and things like that. And so what we do is we're bringing together, we're merging together these different aspects of ourselves. And it's almost like locking in a puzzle piece. And you function differently. And so his strengths may be my weaknesses and his weaknesses may be my strengths, but together you can fulfill this mission. You can fulfill this greater reason for being here. And so what I have discovered is that when you're not clear on who you are, when you're not clear on why you were created, meaning what is the mission that you were put on this planet to complete, when you're not clear on those things, then what happens is you're not clear on the type of person you should be with. And so before I met him, I was clear on who I was and I was clear on the mission that I had over my life. And so I knew that there were certain traits and qualities and attributes that I had to look for and be mindful of when I was out there dating and getting to know people. And that if someone had certain things about themselves that were not in alignment with the things that I knew that were required and necessary and needed in that type of partner, then it just simply wasn't the right fit. Again, using that puzzle piece analogy. And so when if you're either single or maybe you're in a relationship and maybe you're going through a snafu, I want you to really sit down and think about the bigger mission, the bigger vision. You know, this morning before the mister left for work, he was sitting on the couch and he's always up I always call him like an old man, y'all. He'd be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And he's not an old man. He's just very focused. And I love that. I love that about him. He's very focused. He's very disciplined and consistent. And he was sitting on the couch and I kind of was just laying my head on his chest, you know. And and then that moment I was thinking about, this is what it's about. This is what it's about. Having that support when you need it. Having someone there who can hold you up. Having someone there who can pour into you. Having someone there who can remind you of who you are when you forget. It's a bigger mission. It's a bigger purpose. And so you have to step out of looking at it from a need base of the void, trying to fill the void. Because if you're doing it from that space, you're always going to be feeling like you're missing something. You're always going to have that feeling of something's missing or this feeling of lack internally. And that's a void I believe only God can fill. That's where that soul work comes in. So I just wanted to share that really quickly. It was on my heart to do so. Really just elevating the way that you're viewing your relationships, all of your connections. You know, I was just listening to, I'm inside of Lola Tomorrow's Faith Figures challenge for women of faith in business. And Dr. Alexis Maston, that's her maiden name, I believe. She was in there this morning and she was talking about no more connections without holy, godly reflections. And I was like, wow, that is powerful. And I was really just sitting with that. Like, no more connections without holy or godly reflections. And really just thinking about how many times before we connect with someone, whether if it's a romantic partner or an acquaintance or a friendship or whatever, that we're actually seeking divine guidance. We're seeking clarity on, is this person in alignment for me in my life? Again, I'm speaking to those who are the mission-driven women who want it all in life, the ones who have that thing on the inside that it's like God won't leave you alone. You have this yearning, you have this desire. Not everyone has that. And if that's not you, that's okay. But I bet you have someone in your life who does, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. And so I would love if you would share this, because they may need to see this. They may need to hear this. Everybody doesn't have that, and that's okay. But there's some of us who have that thing on the inside. And if that's you, I really want you to take this in. I believe that when God puts something inside of us, a vision, a mission, a desire, a dream, that it's meant to be fulfilled, that it's already happened in the spiritual realm. And it just means that we're supposed to walk this path out in the physical realm. But sometimes we have hurdles and we have obstacles and we have unprocessed trauma and all the things that can stop you and hold you back from fulfilling your destiny. And that's where this type of work that I talk about comes in, to keep you going, to keep you on the path, to elevate your faith and keep believing and pursuing and knowing that what you desire exists for you, and that God is not petty. God is not petty. God would not give you a desire in your heart and a dream and a vision if it wasn't meant for you to fulfill it. God would not put something in your heart if it wasn't meant for you to hold it in your hand. I believe that when we have dreams and visions and desires, we don't come up with that on our own. That's a God thing. That comes from the Creator. Because the Creator made us in His image, which means that we have that same creative potential. We have that same creative power. But you have to know how to activate it. And you have to know how to use it. And that's what I get so lit up about with helping women with. When you get that thing activated on the inside of you, where you have this very strong belief that you know that the person God created for you is out there, that the mission that you were created to fulfill will be completed, that the things that you desire in your heart to have, you will hold them in your hand. Whitney says, yes, I want it all. Yes, Anthony, all facts. Hey there, how are you? So I hope this serves as both encouragement, but also empowerment to move you into action. Okay, I don't want to come here and share things just for play, just to make you feel good for the moment and then you go on about your day. I want to plant a seed on the inside of you that when something comes out of my mouth, it lands inside of you and it activates you so that you know that I needed that. That was for me. And go do what you need to do. The thing you may need to do may be to get support. I started this journey getting support, hiring coaches, taking programs, getting in courses. I still do that. I have coaches right now. Coaches need coaches. Leaders need mentorship. In all categories. I have wives that have been married for decades that I go to for guidance on my marriage. I have coaches that give me guidance and leadership guidance and mentorship in my business. I have spiritual teachers that give me guidance on my spiritual journey. Like you gotta have support if you're the one who wants it all. You can't do this thing by yourself. It's too big. It's too big. And that's why you keep going through burnout. That's why you keep getting exhausted. That's why you keep experiencing fatigue, because you keep trying to do it by yourself. That's the purpose of a partner. That's the purpose of getting support. That's the purpose of coaches having coaches, of leaders having mentorship. You can't do this alone. And we weren't meant to do it alone. Why would God create all of us out here with multiple gifts, multiple talents, if we were meant to do this thing called life alone? We were not meant to do this thing called life alone. We were meant to support each other. We were meant to hold each other up when someone's down. We were meant to pour into each other when someone's feeling empty. That's why it's so important. I often say that you do your soul work so you can do your soul's work. Did y'all catch that? You do your soul work so that you can do your soul's work. Make sure your cup is full and overflowing. Make sure that you have what you need so that when you give to others, you're not giving from your reserves, but that you're giving from your plentiful, that you're giving from your overflow. Y'all, this is about a mission here. And again, this may not be for everyone. Not everyone has that. It's me and one of my girlfriends, we call it the God mark. Some of us who, ever since we was kids, we had that God mark. Ever since you were a little kid, you felt it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You felt that thing on the inside like this ain't it. You were watching how the people around you were living. You were watching how the people around you were behaving. You were watching how the people around you were acting. And as a little kid, you have this insight. There's got to be more to life than this. It was put in you at birth. There's scripture that says that you were formed before you were put in your mother's womb, meaning that God had a vision and a purpose and a plan for you before you were even formed in your mother's belly. That thing that you've been feeling since you were a little kid, God put that there for you to fulfill, because there's work for you to do. There's a mission for you to do. And you can't be scared of it. I get it. Y'all, I used to be so afraid. I used to be so afraid of the calling on my life. Afraid of what people would think or say. Afraid, can I meet someone who can handle the power that God put inside of me? Am I going to meet someone who all they want to do is compete with me? And I had men like that in my life in the past who they couldn't handle all of who I was. I was so afraid of it. I was afraid, is it possible for me to be all who I am and be with someone who can handle it and do the work that I've been called to do? Is it possible? And when I released the fear, when I relinquished the fear and I just surrendered and said, God, I trust. I trust that if you put it in me, then it's meant for me to fulfill. That if you put it in my heart, it's meant for me to have it in my hand. And I just surrendered the fear and started leaning into the trust. Whitney says, absolutely, 100%. We are meant to have healthy human connections. Absolutely. And you guys, God is funny. The creator got jokes, boy, because relationships were always hard for me because I did not trust myself, because I wanted to help and save everyone, because I would always see the best in everyone and would put on the rose-colored glasses and would ignore all the red flags and all that. Y'all, it was terrible. Terrible. And so for me to be in a place where, and granted, I still have had bumps in the road, I'm human, life happens, but I have tools now. I have resources, I have information, I have knowledge, I have wisdom, I have things that I can do to navigate things differently. But it cracks me up how God has been using me for the very thing that I used to struggle with. And sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes the very thing that you either used to struggle with or that you used to get made fun of is the very thing that God will use you for. The very thing. I was a single mom at 19, got pregnant at 19 in college. And I used to battle with so much shame around that. And I used to battle with so much shame around, why can't I get this right? Why can't I figure this thing out? And to now be on the other side of where I'm at in my journey now, I'm on a mission, pursuing the calling, doing life with the mister. My son is now in college and I'm supporting women to do the same. It blows my mind sometimes. And I know that if God did it for me, that it's possible for you too. The women in my world, the transformations and the growth that has been happening blows my mind every time we have a conversation. They're changing their marriages. They're changing their businesses. They're changing their careers. They're changing their lives. Something happens when a woman unlocks her power and potential. It's like you give the world permission and everyone around you to do the same. You leave a new blueprint and a legacy for your children to follow, a new way of being. And that's all I ever wanted for my son. I wanted him to see something I didn't get to see. I wanted him to have a different blueprint than I got. And so I did the work. I did the work to change my blueprint first for me so that he could have a different blueprint. And that when he has kids, they have a different blueprint. You know, the mister and I often talk about being those old folks. I say I want to live to at least 110, God willing, Lord, sitting on rocking chairs in the front porch and talking about our lives. And I always share with him, I want to be the one that our grandchildren's grandchildren said, great, great, great grandma Cassandra, she changed it. She did it. And this is what we get to do now. This is who we get to be now. This is what we get to do now. This is what we get to have now. And I believe that the women I've been called to serve, the women I've been called to work with, y'all have that same thing inside of you. I know it because the women who keep coming to me in my coaching, they have it. And sometimes they try to ignore it and they try to suppress it and they try to pretend like it's not there. And they struggle because people don't always understand. People don't always get it. You're often misunderstood. And I get it. It sucks. It doesn't feel good to be misunderstood. I know. Battle with that my entire life. The women in my world that I work with battle with it too. And it's okay. You weren't put here to be understood. You were put here to do the work. You were put here to be the one. You were put here to do something different. And so it's okay if you're misunderstood. It's okay if people don't get you. It's okay if people don't understand why you have this deep, insatiable desire and yearning to have all that you desire. It's okay they don't get it. It's not for them to get because God did not give it to them. He gave it to you. So all that matters is that you get it, that you understand the assignment, as they say, and that you go out there and you create the life that you were put on this planet to create. You be with the one that you love, that you don't settle, that you do the work that you were called to do, that you don't settle, and that you don't stop, that you're relentless in the pursuit of the thing that you have been created to do until you're holding it in your hand. Because what happens is when you have it in your hand, this is why God does this. He puts it in your heart, you hold it in your hand, and then you pass it back. It's like passing the baton. I used to run track back in the day. And I did relays too. And when you had that baton, you had to hold on tight, because if you dropped it, you get disqualified. And I experienced that before. I was a really great athlete when I was 13 years old. I was on the USA track and field junior Olympics team, and I got flown out to, was this the one in Seattle, Washington, or was it in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? I think this was the one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we were in the finals of the 4x100 at the National Junior Olympics track meet. So this is like a big, big, big deal, y'all. Like big, big deal. And I'm running, you know, we winning. We were winning. And I passed the baton and we're still in the lead. And then when the next person passed the baton, she dropped it. And we were disqualified. It was the most devastating heartbreak, because you have this moment where you're thinking we're about to win, like the biggest race of our lives. That, you know, we're only 13, 14 years old. This was a big deal. And you drop the baton. That's what happens when you drop the vision, though. That's what happens when you drop the dream. That's what happens when you drop your desires. Someone's watching you to be the example. There's people who may not say anything, but they're watching you because they believe in you. They see it. And the moment you give up, that does something to their belief, because you may be the only person in people's lives who are looking at like, if she can do it, I know I can. If she can overcome having relationship woes, I can. If she can find her purpose and pursue her mission and build something amazing and great, I know I can. If she can lose the weight and get healthy and overcome health issues, I know I can. If she could relocate to her dream state and live an amazing life, I know I can. Sometimes you're the only proof people have. And when you drop that baton, the disappointment that you feel, it can be heavy. But the beautiful thing is this thing called life is it's not a track meet. We're not at a race. And you don't get disqualified by the good Lord if you drop the baton and have to pick it back up again. That's what I love about the grace of God. You can pick the baton back up again. Regardless if you dropped it, the setbacks, the failures, the misunderstandings, the slip-ups, the triggers. You can pick the baton back up again and keep going. Keep finishing your race. So I have to head off here because in 8 minutes I have to meet with one of my biz buddies. But if I have shared something that inspired you, empowered you, please share this broadcast. And if you would like support, if you are a mission-driven woman who wants it all, send me a DM. This is Facebook. Send me a private message and I will share with you how you can book a discovery call with me. And on my discovery calls, what we do is it's a safe space for you to share your vision, your goals, your dreams. I can help you get unblocked and get some clarity, because when you don't have clarity, it's hard to go get the thing and do the thing, and then give you my professional recommendation on the next best steps you can take to get there and explore how I can support you further. So private message me if that is something that you would like to do. I would love to support you. I would love to connect with you. And looking forward to chatting with you all next time. Thanks again for tuning in. And y'all take care now. Bye.